Welcome to the October 10th Inspiring Author Conversations. I'm Kathy Davis, Davis Creative Publishing, and today we'll be speaking with Wanda Allen about follow-up strategies that will get more clients and close more sales. I found this particularly interesting because it's something that I always have this to-do list to follow up, and it's like, I got to get it done. I got to get it done. Our theme for 2024 continues to be growing your business by the book. Each month, we welcome guests who inspire authors by sharing knowledge, new ideas, opportunities, and wisdom. Wanda is an international speaker, coach, and corporate trainer. She's also the author of Follow-Up Savvy and Follow-Up Sales Strategies. Wanda had a 25-year corporate career where she held the position of Senior Vice President for 15 years. She's an expert in helping entrepreneurs, business owners, and sales professionals increase pipelines, improve sales performance, and strengthen relationships by developing strong follow-up skills. Welcome, Wanda Allen. Thank you.
Well, thank you. It's great to be here.
So I'm trying to remember how we connected. A friend of a friend,
Was it Lisa Reed?
Lisa Reed. That's right. She was an earlier guest of ours.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I love this whole concept of follow-up. As I mentioned earlier, it's always something that I say, I'm going to get it done by Friday. I promise myself I'll follow it up by Friday. So in reality, sometimes that happens and sometimes it doesn't. So I'll be the guinea pig here. What's holding me back? And I've heard you talk about 2 innate fears, and what are those?
Yeah. So that's the primary reason follow-up work doesn't get done is because fear. There's so much fear associated with following up. The 2 primary fears, the number one is fear of being pushy. And you keep following up. Well, if I keep following up, I feel like I'm being pushy. And that fear makes me crazy because and I hear that more than I hear anything else, by the way. But it makes me crazy because there's such a negative connotation about following up. And what feeds that fear for those who have it is they have that pushy salesperson in their mind that they don't want to be. And so what they end up doing is going so far to the opposite end of the spectrum to make sure they're not that pushy salesperson that they end up taking very little, if any, action at all. So if your job is to bring in business, your job is to follow up. So remember that if you're not following up, you are not giving, well, first of all, it's a disservice to you and your business, but it's a disservice to that prospect because you're not giving them an opportunity to do business with you. So that's the first fear. And the second biggest fear is fear of that 2-letter word. Fear of rejection, that so many people don't want to hear. And I hear this a lot as well. Well, I don't like to follow up because I'm afraid they're going to tell me no. Well, no is part of the sales process. Nobody can be in sales and never be told no. In fact, it's been said the most successful salespeople get the most no's. Why? Because they make more calls than most people. So I'm going to give you I want you to understand that no is the second best answer you're looking for. Okay. And here's why. So many people think the pain is in the no, and that's wrong. The pain is in the ignore. I will take a no over an ignore any day of the week because when a prospect tells me no, I know where they stand. It's an update. It keeps my train moving, and sales is about movement. But when somebody ignores me, that car on my train is an idle and it's going to slow my car down. So that is why when you're following up, no is the second best answer you can get. So no is not a bad word. It's not. And take this in. Not every prospect you talk to is going to be interested in doing business with you. It's just the nature of the beast. But your job is to find the ones who are interested. And to get to those who are, you're going to come across people who are not. So it's just the way of business. Don't take it personally.
I know. I love that phrase that you used. What was about no is, I was just getting ready to write it down.
No is the second best answer.
Yeah. Lene's question. I have 2 clients who had verbal yeses to working with me They each had an emergency, and I have followed up 2 to 3 times with each. Now I'm ghosted. My last message was, if things have shifted, please let me know. Crickets.
Yeah, keep on. Do not let go. They've told you they're interested and you don't know what's going on with them. And what I will promise you, when you stay in the game with them and even being ghosted, but I want you to reframe that because ghosted, it has a negative connotation. It's they haven't responded yet. Okay, there's something must be going on, but I'm going to be here for them so that when they are ready, they know I'm still here, I'm still interested. So this is a problem so many people make is that they will, because a prospect isn't responding, they will create the story in their head. Oh, they must not be interested. They went with somebody else. They changed their mind. And truthfully, you have no idea what's going on with them. So don't, when you do that and you decide to stop following up because you're making assumptions, you're making the buying decision for them in terms of doing business with you. And you don't want to do that. You're not qualified to do that. None of us are. Okay. So that's why, listen, they told you, yes, stay in there. And what I will promise you is when they're ready, they're going to thank you. Thank you so much for continuing to follow up. And they will also apologize. I'm so sorry didn't get back to you, but we had a major family issue or I had this huge project at work. You just don't know.
Lene, if you want to unmute to ask the second half of your question, if that.
Oh yeah, just like about how much time would be maybe a best practice. At first I followed up like because they were so ready to jump in. I was like every couple of days, and then I was like, let's give this some time. And then I sent a follow up a couple of weeks later, and now I'm thinking another month or two. Like I want to honor the fact that they're not responding and also not fall off with them. So I don't know how long to wait once the messages are not responded to.
Yeah, I mean, I teach a whole system for that, but what that I can't get into here, but what I will say to you is 2 months is too long.
Okay.
But yeah, a month. I mean, if you've made several follow-ups without them responding, you can start backing up a little bit. Yeah, there's nothing
Okay.
wrong with that and giving them some space. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So what is the biggest mistake that we make in not following up?
Quitting too soon. It's the number one mistake people make is they quit too soon. Here, I'm going to give you some statistics. 80% of sales are made between the 5th and 12th contact. And I think that's a very accurate statement. But older research told us 48% of people never follow up. And I'm like, I'm not on board with that. It's worse. It's worse than that. Newer research is telling us 79% of people never follow up. Okay. That I'm on board with. That's okay. So that's how bad it is out there. If you will really commit and get your arms around your follow-up responsibilities, there's so much more opportunity for you because people don't do it. So, and I'm talking about your competitors. So 80% are made between the 5th and 12th contact. However, 90% of people, I'm sorry, let me rephrase. 10% of people only 10% of people make 3 or more. Now I'm going to reverse that last statistic to really drive the point home. 90% of people follow up twice and then quit. And I think that's so accurate. You get a lead, you follow twice, the prospect doesn't respond, you drop it. You get another lead, you follow twice, the prospect doesn't respond, you drop it. On and on and on, hamster on a wheel, exhausting because you're always having to look for new leads and you are not giving your pipeline an opportunity to grow. The more robust your pipeline is, the more sales you're going to close because it's a numbers game, bottom line. Mm-hmm. So that is why quitting too soon is a huge mistake. The one who stays in the game is the one who's going to get the business. Now, I'm not saying you follow up with every prospect till the end of time. I'm not saying that, okay? But you don't quit after 2. In fact, I'm going to give you a tip here. Don't even think about quitting until you've followed up 5 times. Like, don't even think about it, because 80% of sales are made between the 5th and 12th contact.
Now, if you're late in following up, or you feel you're late and slow in following up, do you go ahead and just jump back into it and then apologize? How do you handle that?
Yes, I call it confess thy sin. So you just get the elephant out of the room. Hey, we spoke a couple of months ago, and when we talked, you were interested. I'll use me as an example. You were interested in me speaking to your group, and I'm sorry I haven't followed up sooner, but I thought I'd follow up today to see if that's still of interest. That's it. Don't explain, don't justify, don't make an excuse for why you didn't. You know why? Because it doesn't matter and they don't care. Okay, so don't even go there. And that's when you're going to get all possibly flustered and tongue-tied and twisted, and you're going to get off track, and it doesn't matter.
Just keep the focus on the follow-up.
Yeah, and apologize. Just hey, we're all in general, people are very forgiving.
Mm-hmm.
And, a lot of people think, well, the worst thing they're going to say is, no, I'm not interested. That's not the worst thing. The worst thing they're going to say is, oh, I went with somebody else. That hurts. Okay, now, you don't get every single prospect, but when you've done your due diligence, hey, it's just part of the game. But when a prospect goes with somebody else and you didn't follow up when you should have, that hurts. But allow that to be reinforcement. Okay, I am never putting myself in that boat again. Use it as motivation. And I promise, whatever they say, you're going to survive it. The sun will rise again. It's not life or death here, but we can make it almost as if it is life or death, and it's just not.
Jan's got a great question here about, do you have success strategies for selling via email, or do you recommend taking it off email to a phone call for sales?
Thank you for asking that. The most efficient tool we have to follow up, like this, not like this. Now, there's so many inherent fears with follow-up. So people hide behind their emails and their texts because it's just easier to do that. But the phone is the reason it's so efficient is because I could cover with you in a 5-minute conversation what could take 4 emails or texts and 2 days. Okay, and you're going to tell me things on the phone that you will not tell me in an email or a text. So this is a big fear. People are afraid of the phone, and the beautiful skill and art of communication is lost. It really is. And so if you don't know what to say, how to say it, you're afraid to follow up, and you're not going to use this. But I encourage you to it's a muscle. Okay, this is a muscle. That's all it is. And do it, because when you experience how efficient the phone is, it's gonna be your go-to. Let email and text, let that be secondary. Go here first. Now, if you get voicemail, leave a message. Okay, and well, no one listens to their messages. I hear that a lot. That's not true. Or no one ever answers their phone. That's not true. Yeah, you get voicemail a lot, but people answer their phone. That I can promise you.
Well, and I love the new function on my phone where it transcribes my voicemails for me.
Yes.
So then I know exactly what they're calling about. And so I had inquired about it with a financial services person 2 or 3 months ago. And I had noticed, and she's been in the business a long time. And I started paying attention to her follow-up sequence. And, after a while I said, it was phone calls, it was messages, it was an occasional text, because she knows that I do a lot by text. And that had been one of her questions, what's the easiest way to get hold of you? And then after about 6 weeks, I responded that I want to wait till after the first of the year to do anything. And then about once a month, I now get from her just a random email. I saw this article. It made me think about you. I thought you might be interested in this. She's keeping in touch, but she's not blatantly in my face. She's not crossed that line of being annoying.
Yeah. And she's making sure you're not going to forget about her either.
Yeah.
Right. And so she's keeping her on the top of your mind. Yeah. Because if a prospect says, oh, get back to me in 6 months, and they never hear from you in that 6 months is a long time, but it goes by, in about a month. And they'll go, now who are you? Wait, when, and you just don't want that. So you want to stay in periodic touch I call that the holding pattern. She's in the holding pattern with you right now, and she's staying in periodic touch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what are some ways that we can keep track of these follow-ups that we're supposed to be keeping track of, and when do we call back? And sometimes it feels a little overwhelming for me.
Well, you must use a CRM. It's just an app. If you're not using a CRM, the follow-up process is going to be so much more difficult. That's when things slip through the cracks. That's when you remember 3 weeks later, oh my gosh, I was supposed to follow up, or you'll wake up at 3 in the morning. Oh my gosh, I can't believe I didn't do that. And then, if you're not using a CRM, and there's some people who don't know what it is. So if you don't know what it is, it stands for Customer Relationship Manager or management. And it's a computer program where you keep all your contact and follow-up information for the people that are important to you. So if you're not using a CRM, you're using something. And here I'm going to tell you what the common somethings are. A spiral notebook on your desk. Okay, well, how much time do you waste flipping through pages of paper trying to find something you wrote 3 weeks ago? And if you ever lose the notebook, that's going to be a bad day, because there goes your future. Sticky notes. Okay, please don't use sticky notes. They get lost in the paper shuffle. Not good. A cell phone was not made to be a CRM. You can do a lot of amazing things on the cell phone, but anytime you try to make something into other than what it's designed for, it will be clunky at best. Don't use your email as your to-do or reminder list. Oh, I got this email today. She wants me to follow up in 2 weeks. Well, how buried is that going to get? And then you're going to add to inbox overload. Forget about Excel. A lot of people use Excel. It's not good because it's too labor intensive, and the bigger the sheet is, the more laborious it is, scrolling up and down and left and right, moving columns and rows. And it's not automated. And if it's not automated, there's just too much room for error and oversight. And then the last way that's commonly used, and is worse than everything I just said, your memory. Please don't think, oh, I'll remember to call Bob 2 weeks from tomorrow. And I'm going to say, yeah, probably not. Has nothing to do with age. There's too much going on. Our brains were not designed to be a CRM. So, yeah. And back to Excel real quick. I didn't say this. Excel is a spreadsheet program. I'm sure you'd agree with me, right? It is not a CRM. So trying to convert it into a CRM, it's going to be clunky. So
now, do most CRMs then have a way to remind you?
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It automates all that for you. I'm telling you, if you get nothing else out of me today, get a CRM and use it, because I'm telling you, it'll change your life. And that sounds so dramatic, but it will, because when you're using a CRM, you will close more business. You will have stronger relationships. Nothing will slip through the cracks, and your stress level is going to lower. And when all of that happens, your life changes. That is how much power is in a CRM.
So quick question from Lene about calls. Many people don't answer. Should you just leave a voicemail? Is it better than another text or email?
Leave a voicemail, and then you could follow up with a text or an email, because some people will respond quicker to a text or an email than they will return a phone call. But again, you're using the text or email as secondary, and you can just say, I left you a message and thought I would email as well, just let them know. And then voicemail is intangible. It's out of sight, which means can be out of mind. Whereas your text or email, there's a chance they're going to leave it on their phone or inbox, and it's harder to forget about you.
Yeah. So can we talk a little bit more about the CRM? One of the questions we have, is it a program or a person?
It's a program. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a program.
And the next question is, the CRM standalone or connected to a Word program? Can you talk a little bit more about what is a CRM and what it can do to help us? Like how much information do we have to give it in order for it to benefit us?
Okay, so I'm always about less is more, simpler is better. So what it will do is if you talk to a prospect 2 weeks ago and they want you to follow up today, you would have gone into the CRM 2 weeks ago, updated the notes section, what the conversation was, and then set a reminder date for today. And so the CRM generates your to-do list. And you also keep the name, the phone number, that you keep all your contact information. So that's what it's a computer program. It's software. It's not like I wouldn't have it on your program on your computer because then you're going to be limited to it. You want an online based CRMs, and that's what most of them are anyway. They're all on. So this way you could be in Timbuktu, and as long as you have internet access, you can get access to your contact information. So you're not carrying around, oh, that piece of paper's in my car or in the office. Oh, shoot, it's on my sticky note. In the office, or oh, wait, digging into the memory bank. Oh my God, I can't remember what they said. And then you're going to get embarrassed and stressed, and all of that goes away when you use a CRM.
And so the next great question, is there a simple CRM that's easy to use?
Yes. And so, yeah, simpler is better. Okay. Because if you get a CRM that's too robust, you're not going to use it. It's going to be overwhelming. There's going to be a lot to learn. So now we're all different. I wish I could say this is the CRM for everybody. I can't say that because we're all different. We have different needs. We have different levels of technology. So people always want to know what I use. And it's a funny name. It's called Less Annoying. And to be very
I think that was invented here in St. Louis.
It is, you're right. To be very transparent, I am an affiliate with them, and I will put my affiliate link in the chat box. If you use it, you get 60-day free trial period. Now, having said that, I don't care if you use Less Annoying or not. All I care about is you get your CRM that you like, because when you like it, you're going to use it. So I'll give you a few other recommendations. Pipedrive, PIPE Drive, HubSpot, HUB Spot, Less Annoying. So there's hundreds and hundreds of CRMs out there. If you don't like those three that I just gave you, that's okay. Go research more. You will not have a shortage. And don't worry, they're not expensive. Okay. It's not a huge investment. Less Annoying is $15 a month, 15. Okay. So you don't have to spend a lot of money, but it is a very, very important investment to make.
Yeah, I love that. Now I know sometimes we had looked into Asana. Is that one of the more like robust? It does a lot more than just CRM. That's what I recall. And I know it almost takes a technical degree to work it, is what I heard.
Yeah, and you're not going to use it because that's our human nature. If it's too complex and complicated, you're not going to use it. So yeah, I mean, it just depends. The more sophisticated a CRM is, the higher the price point. And industry-specific CRMs will also have a higher price point. But having said that, the lower price point CRMs, they're very, very good, very well.
At a minimum, what is the amount of information that I would put into a CRM for one client and be able to have it change my day, change my life?
The contact information, the notes section, so you're not having, and the reminder date. That's it.
And then once you set that reminder date, you can always go back later and reset it for the next date. Okay.
Yeah. You just have to be willing, open, and committed to getting through the learning process, because it's uncomfortable when we're learning anything. And so people think, oh, it's just quicker if I write it down. Well, that's being penny wise and pound foolish with your time because it's going to cost you more time and probably more business down the road than if you will just commit to learning those features that I just mentioned and getting it in place and forming the habit. That's all it is. It's a habit. Your habit right now might be the sticky notes, the spiral notebook, the memory bank. So yeah,
You pretty much named them all that I used.
yeah,
Um,
that's
oh,
very common.
yeah. And Richard, that's a great question. I was going to just ask the same thing. Do they have tutors and people that can help teach you the CRM?
Yeah, so most of them will have like tutorials, video tutorials. What I let, and I'm not here to tout less annoying, but I am going to answer this question because it's a huge benefit. They have live human being customer service. Okay. Now, some CRMs just have chat, and some people are fine with that. It's okay. Again, it just depends what you're used to. But I do love that live human being interaction because I'm the kind of person, I don't want to read how to do it. I don't want to watch a 10-minute video. Just let me call. This is where I'm struggling. In 2 minutes, we're done kind of situation. But that's me. Okay. That doesn't mean it has to be you. So, yes, they have customer service, they have tutorials. Yes, it's just different levels.
I know we have used the customer service in the past, and it was, I mean, they even took the time to train one of our staff members on, several phone calls. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And you want that support. And because it is such a crucial part of your business, the CRM, like that's a mindset that I want you to take on.
So if we're behind in follow up, what would you suggest to be the next best step?
Follow up, start. I mean, just
Start
start.
someplace. Yeah.
Yeah, start because another day that goes by is another day of potential lost business. And the discomfort and embarrassment is going to get deeper. So it's just committing, like today, make that commitment. From here on out, I'm doing my follow-up work every working day because here's the thing, the number one way to bring in more sales is to follow up. Research tells us only 2% of sales are made on the first contact. That means 98% of the time you got to follow up. So if you're not doing your follow-up work, you're gonna lose business. That's just bottom line. And so you want to commit to it. And you can come up with 20 reasons every day why you can't get to it. And most times, those are just excuses. There's an underlying issue, fear, procrastination, and it's usually fear. But you just, it can't be, and by the way, follow-up work is very easy not to do, very easy, but it's detrimental to future business and getting you to where you want to be in terms of your goals and visions that you have for you and your business.
Mm-hmm. And unlike a sticky note, it doesn't fall out of your spiral.
Yeah.
So I'd be curious if there's one. I want to remind everybody, if you have any other questions, feel free to type them in the chat or raise your hand and we'll make sure that we get your question answered. And then the question that I had just went right out of my head. So if we were to have a words of wisdom for what the first thing we should do when we get off this call today, what might that be?
Look into getting a CRM. Okay. Because as I said, that's a game changer. And then there's twofold, that, and then just make that commitment today that I am done not following up. You want off that hamster wheel. Just be done with, draw a line in the sand. Time goes by so fast, and I'm sure you'll agree with me, like how crazy it is that we're in the fourth quarter and that October's almost half over. So that's why you got to draw that line in the sand and say, done.
Yeah. Richard, I see you have your hand up.
Yeah, I wanted to just go over. I don't use the CRM and I need to. but I have also a system of following up, and it's with kind of little treats that I send them. In other words, after I'm in their remodeling business, I do kitchens and baths, so everybody knows where I'm coming from. But my first conversation with them is on the phone. I ask them questions, who referred you to me, and then I send them an 8 questionnaire. Have you remodeled before? What was the experience? What's your time frame? Do you have a budget? And, what's your likes and what's your dislikes? What's your must have and et cetera. So before my first appointment, I get an idea of kind of where they are. Right, once I go on the first appointment, I do a field measure, take pictures, ask more questions. And when I leave, I give them what I call a little round to it, which has my logo on it and contact information. And I ask them, do you know what a round to it is? And they say no. And I say, well, this is to remind you to get around to it, not when to do it now, not when you get around to it. And then on the back is my favorite expression that people will forget what you said and did, but not forget how you made them feel. So that's my first touch. When I leave, I send them afterwards, I send them through send out cards. Thank you for the opportunity and with references to call. And then in the first week through Gift Hopper, I send a little box with a logo, or not a logo on it, but has a picture of me and my dog Rocky and a bag of peanuts and a handwritten note that says, I know you're going to go nuts over your new layout. And so that's just another touch. And then through send out cards a little bit, because it takes me about 2 weeks to kind of do the layout and kind of get things going. And then uh, the first, then making your decision. I sent through send out cards. It's a gal that's got her face all scrunched up and says, I know having strangers in your home, dust everywhere can be very, frustrating for you. Here are 8 questions to ask your contractor because we do all of those. And then, uh, so those are kind of before. And then if they sign a contract, I want to tell them that I give them this little grater and I said, I want you to know that your kitchen's going to be a little greater than your neighbor's. And it has my logo on it. So those are just extra touches. And then during the construction process, uh, I send for the kitchen, there's through Gift Hopper again, it's a container of spices. It says, thank you for trusting us to spice up your kitchen. And then a week or so later, I'll send them in a box again from Gift Hopper. It'll be sour gummy bears, and it says, please don't be sour on the demolition. And these are all handwritten notes that are in the box, etc. And then a week or so later, they get the regular gummy bears, and it says, bear with us as we continue to transform your new kitchen or bathroom. So, and then at the end, if they have pets, I have a guy do pet portraits. I also give them cutting boards and Cutco knives that are engraved with their name and everything on it. And then I have a 6 months, a year, 18 months, and a 2 year thing that I send out to remind them, thank you for, hiring us to do. I hope you're still, enjoying your kitchen or bathroom.
Okay. So are you asking for my input? Is that what you want?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. So after the questionnaire, after you meet them and you get that questionnaire, next step questions is always crucial. So you're doing those touches, but do you know where they are in their decision process? So the thank you card is great. Thank you for meeting with me. I think that's excellent. But before you leave their house, you ask them what the next step is. When do they anticipate making a decision? And then you follow up at that time. So those gifts and that are soft touches. So when you're in that prospecting side, that first 5 is always about getting the decision. And then those other touches, I think, should come after they've committed. Because you might be spending a lot of money and they're going to end up not doing it. And so, that was like one of the first things that came to my mind is, are you unnecessarily spending money? They're beautiful touches, don't get me wrong, they're beautiful. But are they necessary when you're in that prospecting phase after you've met them?
Well,
Just food for
they're
thought.
$15 to $25 through Gift Hopper, and the send out cards are $4. So when I sign a contract for a 50 or $60,000 kitchen, it's to me it's not a much of an expense.
Okay, well, and that's fine too. And it depends what your closing ratio is too.
Yeah.
If you're closing 50% of them, 60% of them, great. If you're closing 10% of them, and you don't
Right.
have to say what it is, but I'm just again throwing that out there for food for thought. But
Great.
yeah, but your after touches once business has been closed is beautiful. Yeah.
Thank you.
And it does thank you, Richard. It does remind me of, what part of this relationship that any of us have with potential clients, how much of that is involved in creating a relationship with them. And it made me wonder whether, just as Richard said, his price point is fairly high. And do we have more touch points for those higher dollar types of engagements? Again, just kind of food for thought, but I know sometimes our prices are considered high, and so we do a lot of hand holding, a lot of touch points along the way also.
Well, here's the thing is that so few people do this that it doesn't require a lot of money, because just a simple handwritten card is going to stand out and be a wow factor because people don't do this kind of thing. So that's the good news, is you don't have to spend a lot of money, and it's still very impactful and meaningful.
I know one of the biggest compliments we get is because we send out handwritten thank you notes for every author that we have.
Yeah, yeah. And
people are so often they'll say, I didn't know anybody that still did that.
Yeah, exactly.
Who is that? Yeah.
Yeah. The old school ways stand out, that's for sure.
So tell me a little bit. I understand you have an offer for our listeners today.
Yeah, so I teach a 1-hour workshop, virtual, complimentary, every week. And so, I can put my link in the chat box. Would that be okay?
I'd love that. Yes.
Kathy, oh wait, I gotta hold on here. So this link, if you go to it, it'll show you the upcoming dates. I've got one tomorrow and then one next week and so on. I alternate Thursdays and Fridays. And what I do is in this class, I talk about time management because it is such an issue. I talk about CRM, and I'm a systems person. Things have to be systematized because it just gets done much better and easier. So I actually teach a system there, the daily follow-up action plan, just to give an idea of what a system looks like. So that's what it comprises, that 1-hour class.
Terrific. And so they can go to that link and register and attend your class. That's awesome. Yep. Terrific. So I have loved having you here today. It's given me all kinds of thought, and motivation to okay, I can do this.
Yeah.
I can get past this. I can make it a daily habit. Originally my goal was a weekly habit, but I can see where the daily is much more effective. A lot of times I'll forget by the end of the week what did I tell so-and-so I was going to do? Yeah. So I can see that definitely. So I want to thank you. I've loved every minute. I want to thank our live audience for being with us today and asking your questions. Our next inspiring author conversation is going to be November 14th. That again is a Thursday. And we'll be talking with Holly Fisher about how to market your published book. And it's Thursday, November 14th, just before Thanksgiving. There will be a follow-up email that has all of Wanda's information in it, how to contact, as well as her links. And I appreciate everybody for being here. Thank you, Wanda, so much. I've enjoyed it.
You're welcome. Thank you. Have a great day, everybody.
Thank you, Wanda.
Bye-bye.
Everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye bye, everybody. Have a good one.
You too.